How do I stop overthinking?
How can I stop doom scrolling in the morning?
How do I set boundaries with my parents?
How can I cope with this grief?
How can I keep myself from freaking out at the news?
How can I deal with feeling lonely?
We have all been there, searching for answers, hoping something clicks, but therapy just isn't another article or tip. It's much more personal. It's about two human beings sitting down, getting real, and trying to solve a problem. It's about you. I'm Haesue Jo, a licensed therapist with years of experience providing individual and family therapy. To demystify what therapy is really about, I have teamed up with BetterHelp to make a podcast. I'll be sitting down with influencers, my fellow podcasters, and celebrities for therapy sessions to tackle the main problems on their brains. And I'll be sitting down with other mental health experts to find solutions to these problems. So let's just take one of these questions that I hear all the time. How do I deal with feeling lonely? I want to give you a little taste of the show, so I invited my friend, Dr. Srila Roy Green, Clinical Operations Manager at BetterHelp, to join me to talk about some ways to manage those feelings of being lonely. Srila, so great to see you, and it's great to have you.
It's great to be here, Haesue, and so good to see you again.
So let's get into it a little bit. I think since the pandemic, lots of people have been searching online about loneliness. So I'm sure everybody knows it's a big problem that a lot of people are facing right now. So I'm just wondering how you might recommend people start thinking about how to deal with loneliness.
I think this is probably one of the biggest questions or concerns I know I have seen come up just from a clinical standpoint, but also from a social standpoint. It seems to very much feel like an epidemic these days.
You know, Srila, something I've been thinking about is our parents' generation and probably people before that too. They probably spent a good time alone themselves, but we didn't hear about these people being lonely. So what are some of your thoughts on that?
I think you're absolutely right on that. I think our parents' generation, or even the generations before that, they did experience it probably, but I don't know that they had the permission maybe to talk about it or to verbalize it. And the other piece that comes to mind, and after hearing what you just said about our parents' generation, is there was always a sense of community that they fostered and they built, whether it was through their, religious affiliations or having family nearby. Sometimes there was more of a need to foster that, and you had to work at it. And I think technology, as much of a blessing as it's been, I think it's also become a curse. I never see anybody sitting down to write a thought out, well-written letter anymore. It's I'm going to shoot this person a text now. And it's almost like we take it for granted. Like if I send a text, I know that person will pick up or respond to me when they get a chance versus I can't wait to get that letter from grandma in the mail. Or, it's just shifted. It's changed.
Yeah, I think I've observed some of that too. People today are more connected than ever, and yet we're hearing a lot of people say they're feeling lonelier than ever. What are your thoughts on people now having the access to connect with anybody that they want to in a second, like you said, by shooting off a text, and yet still experiencing all this loneliness? Like, what is that about?
Yeah, I think that's the part that puzzles me too. The word that comes to mind when I think about that experience for people is it feels sometimes very superficial. I think what happens is we have these superficial connections like, oh, I have this in common or I have that in common. I'm checking in with this person. But when was the last time this person, whoever they may be, has actually been vulnerable, right? We're not actually letting other people in to some degree, and we're also not showing them the vulnerable sides of ourselves. I think there's a really high emphasis on how things look on the outside versus actually letting people in. And I think that disconnect, that dissonance is contributing really highly to this feeling of, I feel so lonely. I feel unseen.
Something I've been observing a lot with my clients is specific to their experiences with dating, but I think it can probably be applied to many other kinds of relationships too. The greater access to so many more people, it starts making us fall into the thinking that there's got to be a better fit for me out there. There's probably someone that matches up with my lifestyle even more than this person. Mm-hmm. There's probably something a little bit more in tune. So let me try that. Let me explore that. People are becoming a lot more disposable. It's like, oh, I don't need you because there's probably somebody out there that I can connect with in a better way. The large con that we're talking about now is like the decreasing need to try really hard to connect with someone, because it's not like I can't meet someone else tomorrow. If I just open up my phone and start swiping a little bit, I'll probably find somebody else. So I've thought about that. The increasing accessibility to each other is actually making us feel like I don't need anybody, or the person that I do need is somewhere out there, but not in front of me.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the same. I agree with you. It's that waiting for better.
Yeah.
It's going to get better. Or it's, well, this person didn't meet XYZ qualifications according to my standards. So let me see what else is out there, right? And then to your point, I think it's creating, it's just this cyclical experience for people, right? It's this never-ending cycle of I keep looking, but is anybody ever going to fulfill and fit every single thing or check every single box? And I think part of it is the way we've evolved socially and generationally is also like this idea of I shouldn't have to settle in my relationships, whether that's friendships, whether that's family, whether that's a partner. I refuse to settle. And sometimes not realizing that compromise in certain areas is probably necessary in order for that relationship to work.
That is true. And sometimes thinking that way can also lead to loneliness, even if that's not what we were intending for. Clearly, this is a topic that I think that we can talk about for a very, very long time. So maybe we can hopefully pick up on this conversation the next time we see each other. But until then, thank you so much for coming by to chat about this. Really appreciate your time and your energy today.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure, as always.
If you want to learn how to tackle problems like these and maybe be a fly on my wall for mini therapy sessions with some cool guests, subscribe and listen to Mind If We Talk, which is coming soon wherever you get your podcasts.